Hello, everyone. So my featured technology is Poll Everywhere. And what Poll Everywhere is, it's a web application that engages a class or audience in real time. This web application allows a platform for interactive communication, and the audience is able to respond on the web using their laptop, desktop computer, tablet, or via SMS texting or using the Poll Everywhere app on their phone. And I've had the opportunity to actually use this app in my classroom. I've been using it 3 weeks now in my class. I'm going to walk you through it. The main link is www.polleverywhere.com. And then I'll simply go to my polls, and I am the presenter. As you see, these are a list of polls that I created for each of my classrooms. So I'll actually show you how to create a poll. So as you see, there are different formats you can choose from. We have multiple choice, word cloud, question and answer, rank order, clickable image, survey, open-ended, and if you select more, there are also additional options you can choose from. I've used word cloud and open-ended in my classroom. So I will simply select open-ended. I would then enter a question. Just something simple. What is your favorite subject? Oops, excuse me. Subject. So then I will go and select create. So this is what it will look like. What is your favorite subject? The poll is active. What that means is your class, your students can respond by going to pollev.com / and this is my name, Jasmine Rogers 335, and they would include that. Over to the side here where it says configure how people can respond. You can actually respond one of two ways, either website or text messaging. I always omit text messaging because I don't allow students to get on their phone in my class. I teach 8th grade. So I only use websites, so they'll have to use their Chromebooks. Audience restriction and identity. Everyone, no restrictions. How do you want to identify participants? I always select screen name. I never choose anonymous because, like I said, I teach 8th graders. If I choose anonymous, no telling what they would put up there, just being honest. Response settings. Each person may respond. Usually I do up to 2 to 3 times. The first response is their initial response. The second response, they can actually respond to their classmate. So I'll put 2. Schedule lock unlock times. I usually don't. I would manually unlock or lock, which you can do right here where I'm pressing. But if you think you would forget, then you can choose a time, or you can actually customize it as well if the time is not listed. And then test. You can test it out. The audience can respond to this poll at pollev.com / Jasmine Rogers 335 as long as the poll is active. And you can see right now that it's active. So if I was actually one of my students and typed this in, I would be able to respond. How to present. What you do where it says to present from the website, simply click the full screen button on the poll. So you would simply click the full screen. And then that way you're able to see your students' responses. Go back. Once you're done with their response, you can then click lock this poll if you do not choose to automatically lock it. And now I'll show you some examples of polls I've used with my students. So this particular poll was actually I chose open-ended, and this is my third period class. Hashtag third period matters. The quote was the two most important days in your life or the day you were born and the day you find out why by Mark Twain. I simply asked the students to state what they think the quote means. And as you can see, it actually delivers my students' responses in real time as they are responding. And usually in my classroom, this was actually a whole group discussion. So as students responded, we were actually going through and having a class discussion while they're actually able to visually see what they respond as well as their peers. And as you can see, this poll is locked, so they cannot respond. And I will go back for you. Also, there was another format that I used, which was word cloud. I use word cloud. And I'll go back to my third period class. Hashtag third period matters. And as you can see, I forgot to lock the app. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Actually, they did not respond. So let's go back. Second period. And the question was, what kinds of violence exist? What issues affect youth their age? Our topic last week was we focused on gun issues of gun violence and student-led protests. So this particular format that I used was the word cloud, where I had students actually respond word phrases, which created a word cloud. And then I'll show you one more. So this one was the actual discussion format. As I stated, my students, I had them focus on issues of gun violence and student-led protests. What they did was I had them to look at a series of photos regarding student-led protests, whereas they wrote summaries for each photo and captions. Because I've also been discussing digital activism with my students as well. So with this particular, after the students completed their captions and summaries for each photo, I simply asked them the question, which photo stood out to you the most and why? And as you can see here, these are my students' responses. And their peers were able to tell, actually able to click and show whether they agree or disagree, well, whether they agree with their classmates' response, which you can see 5 students responded to this student's. And also, what I do, where it says audience restriction, although I choose screen name, sometimes it doesn't show up. So I always have my student to use their initial of their first name and then their last name before they respond. But I enjoy Poll Everywhere. It actually engages students. And as I've stated, there are a variety that you can choose from. And I hope that this will encourage you to use this tool in your classroom as well for student engagement and also to formatively assess students. And that is all.